Okay, so today is going to be entirely just learning how to write HTML and CSS files. Visual Studio Code, fantastic text editor. It's going to be super helpful for writing HTML really quickly. So first, let's start by adding an index.html file. Index.html. And notice how we're calling it. Oh, that's not how you spell index. Index. Okay. So index.html, we're calling it in html.html because we're writing an HTML file. If we were writing like a C++ file, it would be .cpp. So by labeling it HTML, now the browser will know, oh, wait, this is an HTML file. I can open this. So now that we've done that, so next step is to write doctype, doctype HTML. And then we're going to open some HTML tags. So all HTML is written in these tags. So here's an HTML opening tag, and here's an HTML closing tag. You can see opening does not have this little dash, and then closing has this dash. So let's open up a few more tags. So we have every HTML file will have a head and will have a body. And it will have just one of each. And so inside the head tag is where you're going to be putting all of your like settings for your file. So HTML file settings. And in your body, this is where you're actually going to be putting the content. And so also notice, so these are called comments, and these. This is like green thing when you have a less than, exclamation point, hyphen, and then some information, and then hyphen, greater than. None of this will be seen or read by your browser. So you can type as much as you want in here, and it just won't be seen. So this is really helpful for labeling your code so that you kind of know what's happening. So I'm labeling this. I'm just saying this is the HTML file setting. So like I'm going to label this. I'm going to say HTML file contents, because this is where our content will go. So let's add one more tag before we look at our website. So let's add a header, and we call header with h1. And inside here, let's say hello. And let's save this with Control S or Command S if you're on Mac. And let's go and open up our HTML file in Chrome. And oh, there we go. And now we can see hello, which is what we have typed right here. So you can see like big, we have a header right here, which is hello. And if we wanted, we could add a paragraph. We could say paragraph. And in here, we could say like, welcome to my website. Oh no. Okay, website. That's okay. I'm not a very good typer. Welcome to my website. Excellent. And we could add other things. We could add maybe like another header, maybe like a header 2. And this is a little bit smaller than a header 1. So header 2, we could say like subsection. Save this. And then now we have a slightly smaller header where maybe we could have another paragraph. And we could say like, welcome to my website. Hope you enjoy your stay. Save. Boom. Hope you enjoy your stay. And then, so, and we can have like as many paragraphs after each other as we want, like paragraph 3, and then another one, we could do like paragraph again, and then like paragraph 4, save. Yeah, so you can see we can have as many paragraphs as we want, as many header 1s as we want. So all of these, this is called an element. Header 1 is a type of element. Paragraph is a type of element. These are all elements, and these are predefined by the browser. And they have some like default styling. So like, for example, H1 is going to be pretty big text, and it's going to be bold. Whereas paragraph is going to be like pretty just standard, just normal text, normal font size. I don't know. Or so another thing we can do is we can make an unordered list with UL. So unordered list, and then we can do list item. So list item like hello, and then we could do another list item world. save. And then boom, now we have this this unordered list. And it's unordered, meaning that we just have bullet points. Whereas an ordered list, we could change this from UL. Let's go and copy this and paste down one. Let's do OL for ordered list. Save this and refresh. And then here, this ordered list has 1, 2, and then you can keep going with just list item. Like list item is just LI. All right, does that all make sense so far? So you don't actually have to go and memorize all of these different tags, because if you forget, it's like, oh shoot, what's a paragraph called? It's really easy just to go and Google everything. This is where I kind of break away from talking about coding, and I just talk about how you actually go about writing HTML. And HTML is very simple. I mean, I bet like with this knowledge, like all of you can be able to go and like write some pretty sick HTML. However, there are like a few instances that can be like kind of hard to remember. So Google is your absolute best friend. If you're like, oh shoot, like how do I make a button? Or like, oh wait, what was I supposed to do? Like, how do I make a list again and like have it be bullet points? You can like easily find everything on Google. Let's do like HTML, how to add bullet point list. Like, and let's see, oh, okay, like, oh, HTML lists, oh, list item, oh, unordered list, try it yourself. Oh, look, boom, bullet points. Okay, it's when you have UL. So Google is just the absolute best resource you could ever imagine. And I'm intentionally going to leave a few things out of this tutorial because I'm hoping that you will all go and just Google everything. So because after this quick introduction to HTML and CSS, you are going to have to complete an exercise, which is on the website. You'll have to download it and then just go and fill out the files according to what I tell you to do. There are a few things in there that I will not go over. So I'm hoping that this exercise will also get you feeling comfortable with actually like not knowing how to do some things, because it's totally fine to not know how to do things. Because all you have to do is just Google it, and 9 times out of 10, you're going to find your answer on Google. And if you can't find the answer on Google, that's when you ask me for questions. On the class website, I even talk about it a little bit. IEEE.sifman.dev. Let's go down. Oh, and here I actually, the next few lectures. So you can see, like, you can kind of plan out your project according to this. So let's look. So introduction to HTML and CSS using Google. Yeah, Google is your best friend, is absolutely everything. There's almost no point in me offering this class because there are thousands of fantastic HTML and CSS tutorials out there. So my purpose is really so that if you cannot find something on Google, you can come to me and we can figure it out together. And here are a few guides that I recommend. But now let us go and continue with this tutorial. So this is like a pretty sick looking website, but chances are if you were to go and like visit this, like it's kind of sketchy. I mean, it doesn't look all that good. There's no color. There's no start page. Yeah, it looks like a skeleton. Ooh, spooky Halloween next weekend. It looks really outdated, and that sucks because we want our website to look super, super sexy. So let's go and make it a little bit more sexy. Let's delete just a couple of these things. Let's do that just to like clear it up a little bit. Let's get rid of that. And actually, one thing before we make it look pretty, let's go and add an image. So I have this picture of just myself that I'm going to copy into here. And so, okay, now there's this image of me, and very nice. Wow, I look very good in that picture. So let's go and include this image, and you can do IMG and then hit enter to autocomplete in Visual Studio Code, and it will autocomplete this image tag for you. But this image tag is kind of weird. Can anyone point out like what is weird about this? What is different from this tag than like the other tags? Can anyone tell me? Yeah. There's no ending tags. Yeah, it's usually in a pair. There's usually closing and ending. It has these attributes. We have not seen this anywhere. So yeah, image tags are a really great way to introduce two things, self-closing tags and attributes. So let's start with self-closing tags. So it's exactly what you would imagine. Oh, wait, let me first just fill this out. Let me put ethan.jpg. Okay, so now when we refresh, now there's this wonderful picture of me in the website. So yeah, and you notice like you don't need any like closing image tag. Like if we want, we can like try adding one, like image save. Like, I don't know, like it doesn't really do anything. There's like no point in having that. That's because this is a self-closing tag. And if you wanted, you could put a little dash right there, and then that'll like really like say, all right, this tag is self-closing. But in modern CSS, we usually leave, or in modern HTML, we usually leave that off. But yeah, so just some tags are self-closing, and so sometimes like Visual Studio Code is really good at doing like any autocompletes. Like it knows like paragraph. If you just type P, hit enter, it'll autocomplete and put both of them. But if it's image, it'll know to just have one. And another type of self-closing tag would be a line break, which is BR. So now if you see here, so hope you enjoy your stay. I added a line break between you and enjoy. When I hit refresh, boom, now there's a line break. So yeah, there's lots of different self-closing tags. But next thing I want to talk about is attributes. So attributes are things that you can apply to your HTML element. So here's an image element, and we are giving it a source of ethan.jpg, and source meaning like the link, like where the heck is this file, that like where is this image file? And it is at ethan.jpg. And so since they're in the same directory, it's just ethan.jpg. If it was in another directory, like maybe like media, and then we were to move this in here, and now we would see that it is not ethan.jpg. If we hit refresh, it won't load, but because we would have to do media / ethan.jpg, and then now it'll work. All right, so that's how you include an image, but it would be okay. So next, what I want to do is I want to add a CSS file to this, because CSS files are how you actually go and like add styling to it. So how we can make it not look like it's from like the 90s. So let's go and link a CSS file. So if you type out link and then you can highlight over link CSS, and Visual Studio Code will autocomplete. And it'll now be looking for a file called style.css. So let's go and make a file called style.css. Oh, that's folder. Style.css. And awesome. So now we have this file. Let me drag it down here so we can see both files. And so in theory, now we have linked these two files together so that now we can make this website. So just to prove that, let's go and try coloring hello a good color. What color should we color hello? Give me a color. Pink. Excellent. So now hello has a background color of pink. Wonderful. And let's add another color. So let's say P should have a background color of, I don't know, light. Nope, wait. Background color of light blue. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. So now all the P's, all the paragraphs have background color of light blue. So by looking at this, we can see that in order to style a certain type of element, all you have to do is just type out that element, and then in curly brackets, you list all of the attributes separated by a semicolon. So, or I'm sorry, all the properties. So let's add another property. Let's maybe add like a font size. Let's give it a font size of 90 pixels. So let's see before what's happening. Before we hit refresh, let's just see what's happening. So we're saying all header ones should be pink and should have a font size of 90. So it's like, okay, so where are all your header ones? Oh, here's a header one. Okay, header one should have a background color of pink and a font size of 90. Let's go and see that. And there we go. So now it has background color of pink and a font size of 90. And let's go and change paragraph. Now let's make this so that this has a font weight of bold. And let's hit refresh. And now you can see every single paragraph is bold. But what if we didn't want to target every single paragraph? What if we only want to target maybe just this paragraph? What color should we make just this paragraph? Give me a color, someone. Green. Excellent choice. Let's make this paragraph green. So the best way to do that is with something called a class. So right here. So the way that we give an element a class is by typing out class, and then by giving it a class, let's give it a class. Let's name it like this class is green, and let's copy this and now try coloring it. So background color of green. Boom. And now this has a background color of green. And notice, so this is very important. Anytime you try styling a class, you need to always preface it with a dot. So let me go and type that out. So so classes are selected with a dot. So you do like dot class, or dot class name. And notice I name this like whatever, you can name this whatever you want. Generally, you're probably going to want to call this like green because that makes the most sense. So let's do that. Let's save that and hit refresh. So then it stays the same. Can a header and a paragraph have the same class? Yeah. So yes, great question. So one really awesome thing about classes is you can apply this exact class to as many different tags as you want. So we can apply this class green to this guy. Boom, now this has class green as well. This is header 2. So now header 2, which is this, should also be green. Let's say refresh, and now it's green. Or let's say just world should be green. So now we can say, okay, hello world, just this one list item, let's give this a class of green. Wonderful, now it has a class of green. And green means a background color of green. Let's go and change the font color too, because that sounds like fun. So let's give it a color. The way you change font color is just with color, and let's change it to white. I think that might look good. Yeah, there we go. Very exciting. Wow. Okay. Does paragraph apply to any paragraph that doesn't have a class? Fantastic question. So P applies to every single paragraph. First, what happens when CSS runs is it will apply every single like header 1 property, or every single header 1 property. It'll say, okay, like hello needs to have pink and 90 pixels. And it's like, oh, all Ps must have light blue and then bold, including all of these that are class green. And then what happens is then it reaches the classes. When you reach the class, it says, okay, with anything in class green, I don't care what style it was given, we need to just overwrite whatever was there. But so the order, if you write like paragraph down here, it'll still work because I'm hitting refresh. This will still work because what's important is CSS starts with element styling first, and then it moves on to class styling. So it does all element styling, and then it does all class styling. So if you ever go and let's go and so header 2, let's go and copy this green, except apply it to header 2 instead. So no matter what I type in here, if I'm like background color of black and color of black, and then I hit refresh, even though that like this is a header 2, since it has a class of green, that overwrites whatever styling it has. So let's hit refresh and you can see it stays the same. Whereas like if I were to remove this, then this is black, and then if I bring it back, then it's green again. Okay. Wonderful. Okay, and now, so we've talked about classes, but there's one more way that we can reference items, and that is with IDs. So let's give this picture an ID, and let's try to change it so that it's a little bit smaller, because the best time to use an ID is when you only have one instance of like this element. Like if you have a paragraph in your website, you're probably gonna have a few paragraphs in your website. Whereas like if I give my image like an ID of Ethan pic, let's say I only ever have one instance of an Ethan picture on my website. In this case, it's okay to leave it as an ID. But in other cases, it would be much better if I left it as class. Because let's say I had a bunch of pictures of me, then I would want to use that as a class. But if it's just one instance, then I want to use it as an ID. So I'm going to say ID Ethan pic, and let's go down here and say, so IDs are selected with hashtag. So the way we reference a something with an ID is by doing hashtag and then Ethan pic. And now we can give this a width of 100 pixels. And now look, so this has an ID of Ethan pic, and we're setting it to be 100 pixels. Or if we wanted, we can make it like 600 pixels. Very nice. ID is best one-time use. A class, think of a class as like a classification. Like, oh, we're giving it a classification of green. Or, oh yeah, we're giving it a classification of centered, like centered text, or classification of bold, or maybe a classification of like of rounded picture or something. Oh, great question. Why do you only need to change the width? Because by default, height is just set to auto. So yeah, by just default. And auto will take whatever the aspect ratio is, and it'll just like maintain the aspect ratio. So yeah, if we wanted, we could give this a height of like 300 pixels, and then boom, that'll stretch it out. CSS. Yes. So yes, CSS has slightly different comment notation. The way that you do comments in CSS is by /* to open a comment, and then */ to close a comment. So if you're used to like C++ or Java, you could comment by doing // and then like this is a comment. But in CSS that does not work. You have to use this type of comment. I want to go over what if we wanted to center. Let's try centering some text. Let's try centering subsection right here. So let's find subsection. Let's give it a class of centered. So let's go and copy this and give this. So we say dot centered. And let me move this up. Okay. Okay, so dot centered, let's say, we're gonna say text align center. So now if we hit refresh, boom, now the text is moved to the center. So let's try doing the same thing to Ethan pic. So let's do, oops, that's not right. Text align center. Okay, so we should see the image move to the center of the page. Let's say refresh. Uh-oh, this is not working. Does anyone have a hypothesis for why we cannot do text align center to Ethan pic?
It's not text?
It's not text. Fantastic hypothesis. However, that is not necessarily the correct answer. Because, so HTML, let's go and open up developer tools on Chrome. And you access it by inspect, by doing like control click or right click. You click on inspect, and then now you have access to all these super awesome, you have all these tools to see it better. So let's go and click this little thing at the top, which this will let you hover over every single like element. So we can see it here, like here is Ethan pic. You can even see like it has ID image, hashtag Ethan pic. Or we can see here, like, oh yeah, h2.green.centered. So, or like this, like you can see this has list item.green, or like this is just list item. And that's really helpful. So, but let's look at this. So h2.green.centered. So if you look, this whole h2, when I say dot green, this is applying to this entire like width of the page. So H2 fills up the entire width of the screen. And so let's just see one more time what happens when we get rid of text align center. So let's get rid of this. What happens is this content moves, it moves to the left. Or like, let's do text align right. Oops. And let's see what happens. It moves to the right. However, now let's go and change the width and set the width to like 50%. So now, look what happens now. So this whole green box, now the width of this green box is taking up 50% of the screen, and now this text is only matching to the right side of the green box. So when you say text align right, you're aligning it inside this box. In the centered, the H2 is not just referencing this text, it's actually referencing this entire like green box right here. So like if we do text align center, it's going to move it to the center of the box. It's not moving this box. No matter how many times we do text align center or text align right, it's not going to move this box. This image right here, you can think of this image as its own box. So if we were to go and keep applying like text align center, text align left, text align right, no matter what happens, it's not going to move because the box itself is going to stay in the same spot. The only way we can really move boxes is by using margins. So let's go and try doing it with centered. So let's give this a margin left of like 60 pixels. And so now we should see that this entire box should move over to the left by 60 pixels. And let's hit refresh. And there we go. So now it moves over by 60 pixels. So that is the difference between like text align center and margins. Margins will move the entire box, whereas text align center just deals with the content that's inside the box. So now that we've done all that, can anyone give me like what line I should put here in order to move this image to the center of the page, or at least move it over a little bit? Oh, margin left 100 pixels. Let's try that, because I think you are totally right. Margin left 100 pixels. Let's save this. Awesome. So we move this over a little bit. So yeah, this 100 pixels is like not really enough. How much do you think we should move it actually? Like if it's not 100, maybe we could try like 200, 50%. So margin left 50%. Let's try that. That's pretty good. So so look at what's happening. It looks like the margin is taking up 50%. This left margin is taking up 50% of the entire page. So when you say margin left 50%, it says, okay, yeah, whatever div Ethan Pick is in, whatever the width of that is, let's take 50% of that and let's put it on this side. It's pretty good. Awesome. Okay, but actually I'm getting kind of sick of this width being 100 pixels. So now let's go and change this back to 300 pixels. And now it's not centered again. So now, oh shoot, now I have to go and do like 40, I don't know, 30, 37, and oh my gosh, it's not good. There has to be a better way, right? How can we make it so that margin will automatically like center my image? I'm going to blow all of your minds by doing, instead of margin left, I'm just going to say margin and then auto. Wow. Margin, but okay, margin auto is going to be your holy grail of centering things. So every single time you ever center anything, generally you're going to be using margin auto, because text align center only happens to the stuff that's inside the div, but margin auto will can move around the entire div itself. So margin auto is moving around Ethan Pick itself. It's not saying, okay, like all the stuff that's inside Ethan Pick, go and center that. No, it's saying, I am Ethan Pick and I'm going to be centered. And that's what margin auto does. So margin auto is, yeah, your absolute holy grail of everything. So yeah, the number one thing I would want you to get out of right now is margin auto. Excellent. All right.
Oh, I have a question.
Yeah.
Are we ever going to learn how to make, I guess, multiple websites that are connected to one another?
Oh, great question. Let me just show you that right now. So there's another element called, okay, actually, let's make another page. Let's make like a contact.html. And let's call this like a, so doc type HTML, HTML, and then head and body, and let's give it a header of other page. Okay, so now we can, okay, contact. So here is this page that I've just created, other page. Now, it would be super helpful if there's some way that I can kind of like alternate between these two pages really easy. And the way you do that is with something called a link. Very easy. So let's just make a link. So underneath hello, let's make a link. And the tag is just A, really easy, the letter A. And you hit enter and it will automatically fill this out. So, and let's have the link be to contact.html. HTML. And let's have its contents be contact. So now let's hit refresh and boom, now we have this link to contact. So let's go and click on it. And now it opens other page. Now in other page, let's go and add a link. So with the letter A, hit enter. href, we want to do index.html. And then we say go back, save, go back. So now we can like alternate between these two pages. And that's actually how websites do it. Let's really quickly just go over what happens if you didn't want to call it contact.html, if you wanted to call it index.html. If we were to try to do index.html, we got a little message that says, hey, we can't have two of these same files. So what we need to do is we need to add another page. So let's call it contact. And let's move that in there. And now contact.html. Wait, okay, let's go to this. So now our link is no longer contact.html. What do you think our link is here? Can anyone type in what the link should be? Yeah, wait, contact.html. Close. Actually, oh, never mind, I did not. Okay, index.html. Okay, yes, so it'll be contact index.html. And now let's see this. So I hit refresh, hit contact, and yeah, now it opens up other page. So now let's go and change this. So now so what we want this to do is we want this to go back a directory and then open up index.html. And so this is something that you may know if you've done a lot of like Linux stuff before. It's with .. So when you do .. it means go back a directory and then open up whatever file is there. So we are in the contact directory right now, and then we go back a directory, and then we open up the index.html file. So let's hit save and refresh. So now when we go back, it opens up this. Excellent. Okay, yeah, the final thing I want to show you really quick is something called Flexbox. So Flexbox, okay, let me give you like a little bit of history. So, when HTML was like first invented, there were really only like a couple different computer screen sizes. And there was really only one aspect ratio that people cared about. And that was 4:3. Maybe like if you've ever had like an old fashioned TV, like a CRT TV or a CRT monitor, like this monitor right here from 2000, it's 4:3 monitor. And that's like the only website, or that's the only screen size that people had to care about. But over the years, what is the main, like, yeah, can anyone think of a really small computer that is extremely popular, that every single person has, but like screen sizes can vary greatly? Can anyone go and put in the chat like what they think? Like phones, yes, phones, every single screen size on a phone is generally different. Like on my phone, it's completely different from even the previous generation, even from the same company. So so unfortunately now, this is a big problem with HTML, because now it's like really, really hard to apply some styling to a page in some way that it like still looks good. And so actually like making this website look good, the class website look good, I had to make sure it looked good at all different sizes. And what's really cool about Chrome is I can like run it in through like an iPhone, like an iPad, or I can run it through like what a iPhone 10 will make it look like. And it was my goal as a UI designer to try to make sure that it looked good in every single screen size. And that used to be very, very hard. However, in previous years, now that just there's been such a demand for making sure that screen sizes websites look good on all screen sizes, there was something invented called Flexbox. And Flexbox is a super easy and fast way to make responsive websites. And responsive meaning it will look good no matter what aspect ratio or what pixel size you're doing. So so let's give an example of Flexbox. So these three little bubbles, each of these are members of a Flexbox container. And let's go and inspect. So here you can see, if you see like what this like white box that appears at the bottom, it says div #links.flex, and flex meaning Flexbox. So each of these guys are elements of these flexes of this Flexbox. And what you can do in Flexbox is now whenever the screen like changes size, now it can like automatically adjust. Like look at that. If you happen to have a screen size that is exactly this size, like it will like switch between having two there or one there, or like maybe it'll have one there, or maybe it'll put like all three there. So Flex is super, super powerful. But yeah. So Flexbox is just miraculously versatile. You can use it in any way. This is just one instance of when you can use Flexbox. There are hundreds of different ways that you can use Flexbox, and in like just pretty much like the past 2 years, or maybe even just the past year, every single browser has said, all right, like we are giving Flexbox full support. So now 96% of all browsers can go on Flexbox. And the only browsers that cannot go on Flexbox are probably like old versions of Internet Explorer, which are becoming even less like used like every day. So that was a big rant. Now I'm going to show you a super quick introduction to Flexbox. There's so much to cover that I'm just going to give you like a little 5-minute demonstration, hopefully shorter than that. So let's just go and make a Flexbox. So so let's do also. So Visual Studio Code has a really what are the rules of CSS basically define? Exactly. Yeah. So what usually happens is either Firefox or Chrome will go and just be like, hey, we're gonna add this really cool feature to only our browser, and if you guys want, you can try to incorporate them. And then and if they are like really liked by developers, then maybe that browser will be like, oh, actually this actually is a really cool addition. Like maybe we should go and add that for the next update. Yeah. So yeah, the rule basically, like if a browser could come along and be like, actually, I do not look at CSS at all, and that would be perfectly valid, but no one would use that browser. And that is basically what Internet Explorer is. Internet Explorer just has, you are not allowed to do like anything in terms of CSS. And it's actually very, very good for CSS developers that Internet Explorer is discontinued, because there were so many things like Flexbox that we were like, oh, I really, really want to use Flexbox. I'm so excited to use Flexbox. And then you put it on Internet Explorer and it just doesn't work. So it's very, very good that Internet Explorer was discontinued. You might want, a really good idea is to go and test your website on all different types of browsers to make sure that it looks good on every single type of browser, because every browser is different. Okay, wait. Yeah, okay. Now we're talking about browser support. really quick, I want to show you caniuse.com. So can I use is a really good way to just check browser support. So let's go and check Flex. So Flex, and look at this. So it's not supported by, wait, that's weird. No, that's GAP. Wait, no, just display Flex. Yeah, okay. So you can see here, so 94% or 95% of all browsers, oh wait, I don't know what this, yeah, okay, 96% of all browsers can use Flex. How, like all current browsers can, but a lot of people are on the older versions. So in some instances, if you're writing like maybe like a server website, I'm sorry, it's better if you don't use new CSS, just in case like maybe a really old fashioned computer is going to be accessing your website and it has like, I don't know, Safari 3.3 installed on it. You don't want a Safari 3.3 seeing your Flexbox. Oh yeah, so Can I Use is a really good website. You can do all sorts of things on here, but yeah, so I would say if you ever are like, oh, like I want to try out this cool CSS thing, go and check it on Can I Use, because that'll tell you like if it's good or not. I would say only use things that are probably like 90% and up. If there's something that's like 60%, it probably means that's only like, it's only Chrome and it's only the newest version of Chrome. And even though the newest version of Chrome makes up 60% of all browsers, you still don't use it, because like that's still 40% that you're missing. Okay. How do you write Flex? This is going to be a super quick introduction, not really getting into too much. But so Visual Studio Code has a shorthand to write divs really fast, and it's by just typing dot, and then let's make a class called Flex. So dot Flex, and then when you hit enter, it will automatically create a div called Flex. So now inside this div, let's make a like div, I don't know, div 1, and then div 2, wait, 2, and then dot div 3 and div 3. Okay. And then now let's go down here, and so let's make dot flex. And all we want is just to give this a display of flex. And so yeah, notice even though it's called Flexbox, we still call it Flex. So I don't know, that may be a confusion. So it's called Flexbox, but we call it a display of Flex. Flex, you can give it a display of Flexbox. Don't do that. That's not a real thing. Flex. Okay. And then let's do a D1. Okay. So now we have these 3 divs that are all next to each other. Wait, before we make it a flex, so let's disable flex. So this is not currently a Flexbox, but now as soon as we give it a display of flex, its default is to immediately have it be all in a line like this, all in one row. And we can apply a bunch of cool things to it, like justify content, and we can do like space around, and boom, now it will like automatically create a bunch of space between them. Or we can do like space evenly, save that, hit refresh, and yeah, that looks pretty good. Or space between, and yeah, that looks pretty good. Or let's say like we want to add like a width to all of these. So one of the best ways to target all elements within a Flexbox is to do dot flex and then greater than, or like an arrow, and then star. So the star means everything, and this arrow means everything, or means everything that's inside. So when you do dot flex arrow star, it's saying every single div that is, or yeah, every single thing that is inside Flex, go and apply some property to it. So let's just say like font size of like 30 pixels. And so now you can see like every single element has a font size of 30 pixels. And let's also go and give them all a width of 100 pixels. Nice. So now they all have a width of 100 pixels. And let's also say text align center. Nice. So now they're all centered in their div. And yeah, but now one thing, I don't know, let's change this to like, I don't know, 500 pixels. So one thing is Now it would be really nice if it could like go on to the next line, kind of how I had in my website. So what you can do is you can say wrap, flex wrap, and you do wrap. And now when you hit refresh, now they will wrap in some way. Or like, let's say this 300 pixels. So let's go and see what this looks like. Oh. So now when I shrink this page, they all like are responsive and will work on any screen size. And now when I like accidentally get them too close together, now they'll immediately go like this, and then now they'll go like this. So Flex is super, super powerful. You can do all sorts of super fun things with it. I will not be going over much, but it is incredible the amount of potential that Flexbox has. Any questions? Really quick, I want to show you the exercise. So here are all the lectures that will be taking place. So next week, there is not going to be a lecture because it's Halloween. But the week after is going to be JavaScript and then CSS. And then during Thanksgiving break, we're not going to have a lecture, but there is going to be a talk about domains that you can watch. But let's go on this week, which is Intro to HTML and CSS. So the first thing that you have to do is download this and try to complete all of the activities in there. You won't be able to finish in time. We only have about 20 minutes left of this class. Sorry for the long lecture, but it's a lot of important HTML introduction stuff, and I hope you got a lot out of it. But then next, you want to start working on your website with your team. I really want you to have your idea picked out and your team established. And that's why I'm having you complete this Google form, which will set in stone what your team is. And it'll also let me access what your GitHub will be. So once you have completed the exercise, that's when you go and start actually writing for your website. And you have 2 whole weeks to work on your website a bunch. And then I'm going to be looking at your code sporadically, and I'll maybe offer some opinions or advice throughout the next couple of weeks. So yeah, very important that you fill out this Google form as soon as possible, so that like I know what teams there even are. And yeah, and so also yeah, so with your team, try to establish like what you're going to do for the next 2 weeks before the next class. And also you can begin next week's to-do list. Even though we don't have class, there's still a few things you need to do, which is all about organization. So like keeping your files organized or using multiple CSS files and all this, I didn't feel like was worth a lecture because it's all just kind of like self-explanatory, trying to keep your files organized. Is there a style guide I follow? I watch a lot of YouTube in my free time. And my absolute like favorite, one of my favorite YouTubers is this guy. And this guy talks about fantastic CSS stuff. And to be honest, like sometimes I'll just like binge watch his videos. And honestly, this is probably the best way that I've learned CSS. However, really just Google is so good at explaining things. There's a few guides that I've posted on the website that you can check. This Flexbox tutorial is really, really good. There's a bunch of different pages that talk about all the different things about Flexbox. And here's the Can I Use website. And here are the list of all the CSS properties that could ever exist. 90% of them like don't even work in all browsers, but like they're there if you want them. But yeah, so I have basically just picked up everything, just being like, oh, I want to do this. Let me Google how to do it. And then I just, I remember things after a while. But then, yeah, so don't feel bad at all if you have to Google absolutely everything. Like if none of you even remember how to make a paragraph, that's totally fine because Google has a million different answers to that. So yeah, so Google is going to be your best friend. But I don't want to cut into too much of your time because yeah, you only have 20 minutes to kind of like make group chats and establish your teams and then start the exercise.